Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed and Happy New Year. And so, yeah, I just wanted to do kind of a little overview of what's gone on with the channel over the course of 2024, some thoughts that I have for the new year, and also kind of wanted to share some stories from experiences that I've had in my life, traveling the world, seeing some pretty cool things that most people will not have the opportunity to experience. Some of you had expressed interest in me sharing some stories, so I thought I'd just kind of briefly go over them. And if you guys do want me to elaborate on more of this stuff in 2025, I'd be happy to. So just let me know in the comments. But yeah, so I've just got this little list here of things to go over. So first, I'm going to do a little overview of the channel from 2024, some things that I've learned, some things that I'd like to incorporate into the new year. And then following that, I just kind of wanted to share some of these experiences that I've had in my life. One of those being AmeriCorps. Following high school before starting college, I served 2 years in AmeriCorps, which is national service in the US. So I just kind of wanted to go over some photos of that. Would be happy to elaborate on it in future videos in the new year. So just let me know about that. And then also, I've just had some really great travel opportunities throughout my life. And one of those things that I've gotten to do is go to Antarctica. So that's pretty cool. That's why there's the penguin here. And I've also, believe it or not, been to the North Pole. I've actually gone there 2 times, hence the polar bear. So I do have some pretty cool stories from that. I used to be an oceanographer, so I have those stories from going to these different, very unique parts of the world, which also includes sailing through the Northwest Passage. Believe it or not, I've been to Greenland. I don't have it on the list, but yeah. And also, I don't know if I think most of you are probably not aware of this, but I have a PhD. I have a PhD in marine and atmospheric chemistry, hence, getting to go to all these cool places. And then just, my personal life, I've gotten to do some other things. So I just wanted to share that stuff with you guys, yeah, in case you're interested. But first, I am going to start with DGen Ed, just going over some of the stuff from the year that has really stood out to me. And so this is just the homepage of the channel. And right now it looks like we've got 2.39 thousand subscribers, which is pretty remarkable. My goal was to hit 1,000 subscribers because that is one of the requirements to get monetized. And that is one of the things that I was able to do in 2024. I believe in March or April is when that happened. So I'll go over a little bit of that in just a second. And over the course of the channel's history, which started, I believe, in October of 2023, put out nearly 1,000 videos. So pretty exciting to just be growing the channel with that. And in 2025, I'll be hitting 1,000. And yeah, and with all of that, this, as it says here, the goal of this channel is to go over weekly trading ideas, serving as a personal trading journal. So I hope that with that, you guys have been able to benefit from that, learn with me as I, go through this experience. And also, in getting to, this many subscribers, that many videos, one of the things that I was doing, especially at the beginning of the year, is just cranking out tons of videos. It's pretty remarkable to look back at this calendar that I keep for myself of all of the videos that I've put out. And so this is from February of 2024. And this month, I remember after January was coming to a close, I was like, okay, I'm just going to crank out as much content as I can. In February, it's a shorter month, even though it was a leap year. We have 29 days in the month. And yeah, as you can see, I just put out tons and tons of videos. And this was while working full time, Monday through Friday. I'd get off work a little bit before the market closes, so I had time in the afternoon and evenings to crank out videos. But yeah, I just cranked out a ton of content, which was great for the growth of the channel. But also, I think there were some things that, I personally learned some hard lessons from. And one of those, it was a video that actually came out in March, but you do see the ticker on the schedule here. and that was actually Fisker. So I'm not exactly sure when I started doing videos on Fisker, but I remember actually being at work, taking a lunch break, and I was just looking through my Webull app that I usually use to trade, do the trades from my phone, and I was just searching for stocks that have either gone up a lot or gone down a lot in a day. And I saw that, wow, Fisker was dumping. It was down maybe 20% on the day. And I was just thinking, well, I bet people will want a video on Fisker. And so, yeah, I started covering Fisker, didn't have any shares initially. And then after covering it for a couple months or so, I was like, well, it's gone down so much, it's probably near a bottom. And I started to accumulate shares. And then I believe in March, I put out this video, just kind of a cautionary video around the possibility of Fisker, or the likelihood, I should say, of Fisker going bankrupt, and recalling on experiences that I had had previously with Lordstown Motors, just holding this stock until it basically faded into nothing. And so I put out this video. I felt some responsibility regarding, what was happening around Fisker, the videos that I had put out. But in this video, I was pretty clear, I feel at least, that, I thought that it would be going to zero. But because of that responsibility, I didn't get rid of the shares that I had right away. I kind of just trimmed and waited to see what happened. But basically, I think I had hundreds of shares in the end, no longer hold them. But it's like I got pennies back for them. So that was, kind of a disappointing experience, but I think there was a really good lesson in it, that it's not necessarily good to just be putting out videos for views, or putting out videos because they're the hot thing right now. Don't want to be following, herds of sheep, want to be, the sheep herder. And so more recently, I'll show in a second that I have actually been cutting down a lot on the content that I put out, because I'm just trying to do more quality rather than quantity. And back at the beginning of 2024, clearly I was putting out a lot of quantity, trying to grow the channel. And then another ticker that's on this list, similar story to Fisker. This video actually came out just a couple months ago, but on Biora Therapeutics. And in that video, kind of having learned from my experience with Fisker, I put out a video talking about, how I think it's really risky, and I think it's good to be managing risk. And at that time, I had sold some covered calls, so I waited to get out of my full position. But I began trimming pretty heavily, at the time that I put out that video. And, I'm grateful that I did. I lost a lot of money on both of these trades, but it wasn't, more money than I was willing to risk, willing to lose. And, I learned some good, tough lessons from these. And fortunately, with Biora, I was able to walk away with more money than with Fisker. I was able to get out of my position, I believe, when it was around $2 a share, maybe $1 a share. I don't know exactly. But I was able to walk away with more than pennies. But yeah, just kind of, thinking about all of this content that I had been putting out, just kind of wanted to switch over to some statistics, Google Analytics for the channel, to talk about how over the course of the past 365 days, so over the past year, the channel has had nearly 200,000 views. So thank you so much for tuning in, joining for the channel. It's been so great to have you, and I just, really appreciate all of you guys for tuning in, all of the thoughts that you share with me in the comments, in the live chat when I do stream. And yeah, so here you can see this chart. It just, spikes in this. It looks like, let's see, February, March, it was kind of elevated because I was just cranking out so much content. And then over here, following towards the end of May, Roaring Kitty had came back, and I was doing some coverage of his stuff. I believe this was a video where I talked about whether he's going to exercise some calls. And so that was pretty cool. It's just been blown away at the success with the channel. But then I think that the number of views have really kind of gone down is because my schedule at work has changed. So I work 12-hour shifts, and it's not consistent days. It's kind of like a 2-week rotation. And so when I'm not working, I'm exhausted. And when I am working, it consumes the entire day. So I've just had a tougher time putting out more content recently, but I do plan to, try and pick it up. I think morale's been down the past couple of months, and I've just been trying to keep my chin up. And so I'm just really excited about the new year and to keep this going. And also, this being mind blowing for me, the number of watch hours over the past year, 12.7 thousand watch hours. And in order to maintain a channel being monetized, the channel has to be getting 4,000 watch hours every year. And so I actually just checked this today out of curiosity, not necessarily for this video. And was wondering, because I know that my views have been going down lately. I was wondering, is the channel going to still be monetized? And so, yeah, I mean, I'm totally in the clear there, so I feel really good about that. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy how much time people have spent watching me talk, which definitely makes me feel a little self-conscious, but I appreciate that you guys enjoy it. And I do have fun making these videos. Again, over 2,000 subscribers. And then one thing, maybe it's an elephant in the room. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a little bit awkward to mention this, but the revenue that the channel has gotten over the year, and after being monetized shortly into the year, I believe in April is when it became monetized. But maybe that's a much smaller number than you'd expect. And so, just a little over $1,000. And so my kind of goal with this channel, and this goes back years prior to starting this channel, really with YouTube, was the dream, the hope of being able to monetize the channel and to make a living making content for YouTube. And part of the reason, why there is this decrease in the views is because I just started to recognize that, I can't be spending all of my time when I'm not at work making videos because, I need to have a life outside of this. And, and even if I did continue with all of the content, pushing it out that I was doing over here, I still wouldn't be able to make a living doing this. And so I feel like that's been a really valuable lesson for me, in that, maybe eventually I'll be able to get to that point. But I think the best way, not only for value for viewers, but also for value for me, is to not just focus on creating content, but creating quality content that reinforces good practices for myself as well as for you guys, being disciplined with trades. Because I think, in all honesty, I plan to leave my job in 2025, but not for the revenue that I get from YouTube. But actually, I think that I'm getting to the point where I can make a living just trading. And so that's my plan. Hopefully by mid-year, I'm able to leave my job with, 6 months of bills basically set aside for the future, as risk management there, but then to just go full in on trading, but then to focus more on making videos on a schedule that could be sustainable throughout the week and throughout the months, throughout the year, as my, effectively full-time job on top of trading. And so just to kind of come back to the calendar, so this is showing December for 2024, you can see that there's a lot less content that I've been producing because I've been trying to focus more on quality and kind of systematic routine videos. And I didn't in February have it on the calendar, but I was doing Ticker Request live on Sundays. So that's the Sunday stream at 9 p.m. Eastern. I plan on doing that, continuing forward into 2025. It's possible I'll miss a couple weeks here and there, but I really enjoy getting the feedback, the ideas from you guys, and just kind of, that exchange. I think that's really great, not just for the channel, but just for retail in general, to be utilizing social media as a platform for exchange of ideas. And so I just think Ticker Request Live is great. I want to keep doing that. Something that I've started doing more recently is these options videos where I go over these options theses that I have. So far, all of my plays have been successful, but I imagine that some of them will be unsuccessful. And so we'll discover that in the new year. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, I plan on continuing to do options videos every single Saturday, ideally keeping them shorter than 2 hours long. But, we'll just see how that goes. Ideally, I'll whittle them down to 1 hour and just really getting into the meat of the data. But, that's just something that I will be refining over time. And so, thanks for having patience with me as I get more familiar with options. But I think that that's just a really great way to be trading, not only looking at technical analysis, considering fundamentals, but also looking into the options data. I think that can give us retail a real edge in trading. And also for me, it gives me kind of like a timeline. I'm not going to hold forever because there's an expiration. So I really just like those options videos a lot. And then also over the past year, I've done an AMC video pretty much every Friday. And moving into the new year, I will be doing another AMC video on the 3rd. But that's probably going to be my last weekly AMC video. I'm just going to kind of lay out a thesis and see what happens with it. I'll revisit it in a couple months. But I just don't really think doing weekly scheduled videos on the same ticker is necessarily that healthy or really a good strategy for approaching the markets, because the moves, the trades, they always take longer than we expect. And a lot of times over the course of a week, there's nothing really new to report on. So I'm just going to try to focus on the stocks that really stand out to me. It's possible it might be around earnings, like I did the ChargePoint earnings here. So I did a ChargePoint video just before then. But yeah, just going over the tickers that really stand out to me. NEO is one that I'm really excited about. And then QuantumScape, got really interested in that. Unity Software, and of course, GameStop. And Luminar is a very interesting one for me. Also do have Celsius over here. But I also don't want to really be going over videos that are potential pump and dumps like Nano Dimension. I get requests for it, and then so I think I might just be keeping requests to Ticker Requests Live, and then I'll be going over the charts that I think look like set up for, bottom formation, and then we just kind of wait for the moves to play out. So not really that exciting, but I think that's the best way to trade. Oh, and before I move on to the next slide, I did want to mention an idea that I have for the new year is to effectively just be having conversations with Grok. So that's XAI's AI. And just kind of asking him or it about different ideas that relate to the stock market, and kind of discovering more about that technology, AI, by asking AI about it. Because I think that we could be at the dawn of a new industrial revolution, and I think that things could actually get really out of hand to the upside. But also with the 30s looming, it's possible we're getting into a Great Depression. So I just think that there's a lot of really interesting topics to be discussing with Grok. And so I might put out some videos on that. And so if you do enjoy that kind of content, make sure you like it. Let me know in the comments. But that's enough about the channel. And so now I'm going to go over these other things from my life. And so here, what we can see in this map, this is a map that I've kept track of all the places that I've sailed. So I call it Where I've Sailed. And as you can see, I've been to some pretty interesting places. I've done some work around the U.S. and in the Gulf of Mexico. I've been down to Antarctica. I've also been up to the North Pole multiple times. And there's one expedition that's on here, or that's not on here, and that was through the Northwest Passage. I've actually been to Greenland. And so, yeah, I've got a lot of stories about this stuff, stories from my life. I thought I'd just go over some photos from that really briefly here. And if you guys do want follow-ups, let me know. I'd be happy to do this. But these kind of videos, I'd only be able to do like at most one a month, because it takes me a while to get the material organized for them. And also, I do tend to ramble a bit. Oh, and before, speaking of rambling, I am going to come back to this. One thing that I plan on doing if I am to quit my job in the new year is to have kind of routine videos every day where, I would, of course, have Ticket Request Live on Sundays. Saturdays would be for options. But then I was thinking it would be nice to do like an hour stream, the half an hour before and after open and the half an hour before and after close, which would not necessarily be for ticket requests, but would just be for like kind of daily updates. And then from those streams, I could take clips to make videos. And, just unfortunately with my work schedule, I can't do that right now, but I think that would be a really nice way to be routinely be producing content for the channel. So also let me know what your thoughts are about that. But yeah, so I'm going to dive into this list here first, starting with AmeriCorps. And so these are some photos from, when I was a baby. I graduated high school in 2004. If you want, you can do the math on how old I am. After high school, I needed to get out of my hometown and unfortunately didn't have good grades. And so AmeriCorps was a really nice way for me to get out of my hometown, see the country, and also give back to the country. And so I spent 2 years in AmeriCorps. The first year, this photo, I believe, was taken in the beginning of 2005. And this is me working at a Boys and Girls Club after school program, being a tutor. And my first year, I was in this program called National Civilian Community Corps. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was really modeled after the Civilian Conservation Corps, which was enacted in it was during the Great Depression and kind of got men ready for living in barracks, kind of conditions like that, getting them ready for World War II effectively. And so that is what that program that I was in was kind of designed after, modeled after, where we traveled around. I was based in Charleston, South Carolina, traveled around the southeast region of the U.S., working for different nonprofits over the course of that year, including Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCA, also did Habitat for Humanity, worked for state parks in South Carolina. And this is actually a photo for me from a Boys and Girls Club in Tennessee. And just had a ton of great experiences that first year. And then these other photos are for me working for Habitat for Humanity in San Antonio, Texas. And that was my second year between 2005 and 2006. You can see me here being kind of a goofy guy. And again, here, me, being a goofy guy. This is one of the houses that we built. These are all the other AmeriCorps members that I work with. Some of them did construction. The four here, so including me and these three wonderful people, they did construction. And then the others, including these two, they were more like on the administrative side of AmeriCorps, volunteer coordination, stuff like that. And it was just a wonderful time working with just some great people doing some good things, and also got some money for going to college and education awards for those 2 years. And, so I would be interested and open to talking about AmeriCorps National Service as a means to, pay off student debt, stuff like that, get education awards for going to school. And also, I feel like this is something that we should actually lean into more as a country, because we talk about student loan forgiveness, and I feel like we could actually do something that's a little bit better than that, and a little bit better than AmeriCorps. Where it's not just, people kind of doing random things throughout the country like I did my first year, or, construction, but maybe building upon people's degrees with engineering, infrastructure development, and building the country up and using that for paying off student loans. And I feel like that is actually a good extension of the 3Cs, the Civilian Conservation Corps from back in the 30s, because it's, building up the country while also taking care of our people. And I just feel like the incentives for doing something like AmeriCorps are just not enough with the amount of debt that people have. So yeah, I mean, that's a topic that I'd be interested to discuss more, drawing upon my experiences, also learning more how these programs have changed, and also talking about government efficiency. One of my criticisms that I had from my first year in AmeriCorps was that it was very inefficient. And that program, the National Civilian Community Corps, no longer exists because we'd work for 6 weeks at a time in different projects and travel around, just not spending enough time focused on a problem to solve it. And so that's something that I'd be open to talking more about. I think that's potentially a really great way to just improve the country. And maybe there are some examples from other countries that we could learn about, through our exchange, as I know not all of you are American. And so that's kind of, my little AmeriCorps story. And the next topic is the wall. And so, when I was in Texas that second year in AmeriCorps, so, when these photos were taken, I fell in love with rock climbing and ended up moving to Colorado to get my undergraduate degree there in chemistry. And through that, I got very into, like I said, rock climbing, but also got into, free, clean solo clean aid solo climbing. That's what it is, I believe. I'm a little rusty. I don't really climb anymore. But this is a photo of me sleeping on this ledge that you can see here in Zion National Park. I don't know if you guys have ever been. It's a beautiful, beautiful park. And what you can see over here is the Virgin River. And so I spent 5 days climbing up this wall that you can see here. I've got some pretty wonderful memories from there. I believe that the ledge that I'm sleeping on was positioned right here. Spent 2 nights sleeping on the wall. And spent 5 days climbing up it to this gully and then kind of scrambled out from the top there. And so I don't know that I necessarily have a lot of stories from climbing, but just kind of an interesting experience that I've had. So this was the summer of 2008. I moved into the back of my truck, traveled around the country, had a belay partner that I used to climb a lot with, but then he graduated, moved away. And so I was kind of in this tough place of kind of lost, in all honesty. And I feel like I discovered myself, or maybe rediscovered myself, in Zion National Park doing this climb. And yeah, it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience, really great escape. And then following that summer, when I came back to Colorado, I got really focused on school. And then I ended up starting to do some research at the university, studying the ocean. And that's, where I got all these great opportunities to see the world. And so this was from an experience that I had in grad school. So this was in, I believe, January 2013. This might be from February. I'm not sure exactly. But this is a photo of Antarctica that I took from the plane that we landed on Antarctica from. And I just think this is, just a beautiful photo. You can see the glaciers here in the background, just like a river of snow and ice, a nice little mountain range there along that. And then you can see sea ice here. So these would be called ice flows. And this would be, I believe, I'm not exactly sure what sea it would be, so I'm not going to guess from here. But yeah, just beautiful photo from that experience. And this is what it was like where we landed on Antarctica. I believe this is a C-130 Hercules. I could have looked it up before making this video, but it's, roughened my memory. And so we landed on the Pegasus ice field, or the Pegasus airfield. As you can see, it was a little airport that they had there, and this was us just after landing. First thing I did when we got off the plane is I ran away from the plane to snap this photo just to kind of capture the scene. And just had a really wonderful experience there. And this is a photo of me by Vince's Cross. And so in preparation for going to Antarctica, I had done a lot of learning about historical exploration. Ernest Shackleton, Robert Falcon Scott, and Douglas Mawson, read a lot of books about those guys. And Vince's Cross is a memorial for one of the members of one of those expeditions where they basically fell off into the sea. I believe some ice that they were on collapsed during a blizzard, and they have this memorial up for Vince. And that's just a photo of me there at McMurdo Station, which I'll have another photo of in just a second. But yeah, so not only do I have stories from Antarctica, but I also would be happy to talk about kind of the historical expeditions because I'm just a big fan of that stuff. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know in the comments. If videos like this get more than 100 views, I'd be happy to elaborate more. And this is, like I said, the other photo. This is from Observation Hill that overlooks McMurdo Station that you can see down here. And these are just some of the wonderful people that I worked with on that expedition. That was again in 2013. And I can't talk about Antarctica without showing some photos of some penguins. And so this is a photo of some penguins that I took. I like to call this photo the Three Stooges. And actually, fun fact is that that penguin in the middle there, maybe you can see it on my phone. That is my lock screen saver, just that one penguin in the middle, just kind of doing a funny little scratch into the head there. And yeah, so my background is studying seawater chemistry. And so I would have not had any opportunity to look at or interact with penguins, but some of the people that were on the expedition with us studied penguins, and so I got to help them with that and got to get pretty close to some emperor penguins here and got some neat photos from that. So yeah, tons of stories from that expedition if you guys are interested. And this is actually a different expedition, and this is actually not a photo that I took, and this is not a photo I got from my hard drive. I got this photo from the internet. And, I am in this photo. This is the Healy, which is a U.S. Coast Guard cutter or icebreaker at the North Pole on September 7th of 2015. And I was on that expedition sampling seawater, testing it for its chemistry. I'm in the picture right here. And yeah, that was just a wonderful, wonderful expedition. Probably my favorite expedition that I had ever been on. I was just a good place in my life. Didn't have a girlfriend back home, and was just focused on the work, and I just loved it. I was busy while at sea testing the samples. Got to get out on the ice a bunch, and yeah, it was just a great, great experience. And, I've been to the North Pole. So I've been there twice, but technically this is the one time that I got to 90.0 degrees north. Quite an experience. Got some stories about that. I did go a second time in 2018, but we were actually about 5 miles, I believe, from the exact North Pole. But, again, I can't talk about the Arctic without showing a photo of a polar bear. And so this is a photo that I took of this polar bear that was kind of pacing around the ship. We had an instrument in the water, and we couldn't move. And this polar bear, I guess, caught our scent and was just hanging out, seeing if it could climb on board to eat some people. Fortunately, that didn't happen, and it did go away. And so, yeah, I got some stories about that experience as well. And the thing that I really like about this photo is you can see that big paw there, and you can kind of see a little bit of the claw. And so these are such vicious beasts that, they're monsters. Still on this earth, and this is one of them. Looks cute, looks beautiful, but it will eat you alive. And yeah, fortunately, had no close encounters with them. Did have some come through our station effectively in 2018, but we were all safe. But it was kind of a traumatic experience for some of us because some of us who carried weapons to protect ourselves. I did carry one at one point, but I didn't need it very often. But some of the people who were out on the ice had this dilemma of, the possibility of having to shoot a bear. And fortunately, didn't come to that. But it's just kind of like these games that we play with each other, or with ourselves in our minds. But yeah, just a wonderful experience there. The tower is another story that I have, and so that is the Leaning Tower of Pisa. You can guess where I went to grad school if you know what I'm doing there with my hands. And yeah, so I obtained some funding to go to Pisa, spent 3 months there living in Pisa to analyze seawater samples from the Black Sea, which you can see in that map there. And yeah, I spent, let's see, 1.5 months at the beginning of 2016, and then 1.5 months in, I believe, around August, July, August, I think. And yeah, I just had a wonderful time there. And yeah, I have a lot of stories that I could talk about regarding the science, the stuff I was looking at into the Black Sea, but also just the experience of living in Italy for 3 months. Italy, Pisa, all of the stories that I have here are just like pieces of my heart. And yeah, it's always kind of bittersweet to look at these photos because it's just so many things that I dearly love, and this was an experience that very grateful for that I had due to the experience I had in grad school and also just all the funding I was constantly pursuing, and I made this work, and so I'm very proud of it. And that did go into my PhD, which I did graduate from University of Miami. I'll give it away. In 2017, I graduated with a PhD in marine and atmospheric chemistry. And actually, while I'm rambling, I'm just going to play this video. This is of us sampling some ice cores, taking cores from the sea ice near the North Pole, just approximately at the North Pole in 2018. And I will be in the video in a minute, but I'm not there yet. The people that were experts on the sea ice biology were sampling now, and I later came to help. But yeah, I graduated with a PhD in 2017, had about a 4-month gap between starting my postdoc, so effectively a research position, had a 1-year contract pending renewal at an institute that shall remain nameless. And over the course of that first year, actually, when I was out at sea, kind of isolated in the Arctic, I got news that the conditions of the second year were changing. And so effectively my job, and you can see me there, that's me helping because I didn't know exactly what to do with them, taking the cores, but I was happy to help them by assisting with bagging samples and stuff like that. But yeah, effectively I found out that my job description was changing while I was at sea to be conditions that I was not happy with. I ended up leaving the job, ended up moving to Vancouver, British Columbia to be with my girlfriend at the time. Ended up getting a job in Vancouver, and then a year later, the pandemic happened, and I kind of recognized that I was just not getting enough support pursuing a career in academia. This is the little party that we had at the North Pole. Everybody came out on the ice as they were wrapping up their sampling. And yeah, and in 2020 to 2021, I realized, I want to leave academia, not pursuing a career to become a professor, but kind of wanted to focus on making content for YouTube. And so that was going to be based around this expedition, this Northwest Passage expedition that I applied to when I was in Vancouver, working at the university there. And then when I went out to sea, I was doing stuff independently. And the Coast Guard actually had a big issue with that. They almost dropped me off at Barrow, Alaska. I almost didn't complete this expedition because of it. And, my goal was, rather than pursuing a career in academia, to focus independently on growing a climate science education channel that you see here. And, I don't make videos for it anymore. And just, thinking about it, comparing and contrasting, I had put so much time and energy into it, but I had only put out 126 videos, whereas with DGen Ed, I've got nearly 1,000 in just a little over a year. Hadn't hit 1,000 subscribers, and so there was just no way for me to get the channel monetized. And so I just kind of accepted over the course of the past couple of years that the kind of content that I was producing, people appreciated the idea of it, but they weren't really engaged with it. And so that kind of just faded away and faded into the DGen Ed channel. And so if you guys want to, you can check out this other channel. I don't put out new content for it, but if you do want me to elaborate on some of it on DGen Ed, I'd be happy to. But I just feel like a lot of the crowd that watches this channel would not approve of the kind of content that I do for DGen Ed. And so I've kind of kept them very secret and separate. And so it's kind of been, a very bittersweet experience for me, this journey with YouTube. And also, on this expedition, I designed this kind of logo for it. And I had expressed interest in wanting to expand it to not just be Arctic Andy and the 2021 Northwest Passage expedition, but wanted to be more inclusive of the other projects on board, but nobody expressed any interest. So it was a very, kind of disappointing experience overall in many ways. So this is a photo of me that I kind of photoshopped into that graphic. That was me on Antarctica. And then on the opposite side of that is Franklin, the notorious Franklin expedition that went through the Northwest Passage. They took a different route. They came actually down through here, and they got stuck here and they all died. The expedition that we went on left from Seward, Alaska, went through the Bering Sea, the Bering Strait here around the Chukchi Sea, along the Beaufort Sea over here. And I believe that's the Beaufort Sea. I'm a little rusty. And then it came in over here and then went over to the, let's see, what's the sea over? This is the Baffin Sea, and got into Greenland over here. So I've been to Greenland, and just a remarkable experience with that. But again, just, bittersweet. But yeah, I'd be happy to elaborate on it with this channel because you guys just seem much more receptive of, stuff that I talk about than the other space. But maybe it's just the topics. That's quite the possibility. I just wanted to close this with a big thank you to you guys. This video really just came about by wanting to do a thank you video. What am I thankful for around Thanksgiving? Postponed it, wanted to do it around Christmas, again, postponed it. And so, I just wanted to end the year with, some stories of things that I've done in my life that I'm thankful for that, unfortunately, I'm not doing anymore moving forward. But I still have plenty of stories to share. And, the really big thank you that I have here is not for necessarily, this prior stuff that I've done, and, the struggles that I've had in my career in academia and failed attempts with YouTube, but has been with this channel, with DGen Ed. And that's all thanks to you guys. So thank you so much for hanging out, joining the channel in this wonderful year. I think 2025 is going to be even more exciting. And so I just wanted to say, with all of my heart, thank you so much for being here. And I really look forward to a new year in 2025. And, as always, if you want to, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like it and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Or, if you don't like it, less content like this and more charts and whatnot. As always, this is not financial advice. Thank you so much for joining, and Happy New Year's, guys. And thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate you guys. Take care.